Hello, everyone. Pastor Daniel here. I hope your daily devotional time has been encouraging and sharpening. As we've just begun going through the New City Catechism in Student Lounge, I wanted to create this video keeping in mind, especially those of you who have been unable to regularly attend Student Lounge, either because you're serving downstairs in the educational department, or you're out of town, or some of you even out of the country. Please know that we are thinking and praying for you. So by keeping you up to date through these videos, it'll give you an idea of what's been going on in the ministry. So when you return, it'll feel like you haven't really missed a beat. So the three questions I want to briefly answer in this video are: what is catechism, why catechism, and why New City Catechism, again in light of what we've just begun in our Student Lounge sessions. So what is catechism? Well, it's essentially a way of teaching fundamental Christian doctrine in the form of questions and answers, which has been a form of discipleship used throughout the long and rich course of church history. But why catechism? Why are we doing it as a college and young adult ministry? Well, what we believe to be the truth, particularly on who God is and how we are to live in light of this, will then determine how we live. I'll say it again because it's important. What we believe to be the truth, particularly on who God is and how we are to live in light of this, will then determine how we live. So, for example, if I only see God as a loving, merciful, and gracious God, then he becomes this sort of Santa Claus or vending machine to me who only forgives, and thus I can live however I want. On the other hand, if I only see God as this judge, then I'll live terrified because I'll feel like one wrong move will bring the hammer down on me, and I then fail to see that he's also full of love, grace, and mercy. Another example is if we view the Bible as not inerrant, then we'll pick and choose the parts we like and forget about the parts we don't like, or turn a blind eye to these parts, and we won't see the whole thing as God's authoritative voice. So with this in mind, I think it's dangerous to assume we're all on the same page on all these foundational truths, which is why we're going through catechism. We're going to go back to the basics because we will be so much stronger for it. Randy Pope once shared how a high school basketball team, they lost their coach, so they were looking for a new one, and they found a substitute teacher willing to help out, but he knew nothing about basketball. So the teacher had the students do the same fundamental drills on the sport of basketball over and over and over again, every practice. That's all they did throughout the entire year. The funny thing is, this team went on to win the state championship, and that's because they mastered the fundamentals of the sport. Likewise, we want the foundational truths of God's Word to master us, our hearts and our minds, so that we can be effective disciple makers of Jesus Christ. Lastly, why New City Catechism for us in Student Lounge? Why use this new one when we have other traditional ones like the Westminster and the Heidelberg? The New City is based on Calvin's Geneva Catechism, the Westminster Catechism, and the Heidelberg, all condensed sort of into one. Now, this is not to say that the New City is of more importance than these three traditional ones. We are not to pin these against each other. They are all valuable means of God's grace to us. But the New City is condensed, and it's divided into three major sections to make it easier to learn categorically these truths, and thus helping us to understand the whole counsel of God more systematically and being able to see how it all fits together. Another point in why Keller decided to write a new one, as he describes, is we need to realize that it used to be normal and necessary for churches to continually produce new catechisms for changing times. So catechism takes old truths of God's Word and responds to the cultural issues that are relevant to us today. And the New City Catechism is built for our time. So the Gospel Coalition has produced these great and short 2-minute videos answering each question of the New City Catechism. And what I'll do every day is post one of these 4 questions we went through together in the most recent Student Lounge sessions. So for 4 days in every week, I'll post the 4 videos, one per day, on the Q&A that we had discussed previously in our last session. This way, for those of you who were unable to attend that week's Student Lounge, can watch the video for the day, so you'll be caught up in the gist of what we've been talking about as a group. So have a great week. Don't forget to spend time with the Lord in His Word and with His Spirit, and remember that you are loved. See you soon.